I never meant to become the neighborhood rebel, but life doesn't always ask for permission. My name is Michael, a structural engineer with 15 years in residential projects. I thought I knew how to follow rules. That illusion died the day I moved into Sunnyside Estates, home of the most power-drunk HOA president in the county, Karen Wilkins. She introduced herself 3 days after I moved in. I was still unpacking, tracing my garage circuit breaker, when the doorbell echoed. An aggressive double chime. There she was, pearl necklace, white pantsuit, hair so stiff it defied physics. "Welcome to Sunnyside," she smiled, handing me a 78-page rulebook titled Sunnyside Estates Community Guidelines. "All pages are mandatory reading," she said, her smile tighter than her bun. "Especially the sections on lawn maintenance and exterior modifications. We've had ... issues." Issues? She said it like someone once tried to build a medieval moat in the front yard. That night I skimmed the handbook while unpacking dishes. It was obsessive. Approved paint colors, only 12 shades of beige. Garden gnome height limits, 8 inches max, and even a chart for season-appropriate flowers. Ridiculous, but fine. I followed everything to the letter. My lawn, cut to 3.5 inches. My trash bins, invisible from the road except during the approved 12-hour window. My front door, painted sandstone whisper, the only tan shade permitted. For corner lots with eastern exposure, for 6 months, I lived invisible. Karen's luxury SUV passed by weekly, clipboard in hand, dishing out citations to poor souls whose wind chimes were too audible. But me, she barely glanced. I took pride in that dot until I planted privacy hedges. The side of my lot faced a noisy street, so I hired an HOA-approved landscaper to install emerald green arborvitaes, a species specifically allowed in Appendix C. Each hedge stood 5 feet 10, well within the 6-foot limit, and set 15 feet back from the corner. I even kept receipts, took photos, logged measurements. 3 peaceful weeks later, I came home to find Karen in my yard, with 2 landscapers butchering my hedges. "What's going on?" I demanded. Karen, ever smug, said, "Your hedges violated Code 4.7b, obstructing the sightline." As HOA president, I took emergency action. I never got any notification. We emailed last week. The board voted. Safety concerns. She pointed at a small orange flag that I knew wasn't there that morning. She handed me an invoice for $375. Just like that, $2,000 worth of landscaping gone. I didn't yell. I'd handled billion-dollar builds and angry clients. I knew this game, and now I was ready to play. That night, I scoured the rulebook. There it was. Natural barriers had limits, but structural privacy walls were a separate category. A cinder block wall up to 6 feet tall was allowed, pending AR committee approval and county code compliance. Game on. Next morning, I submitted a detailed proposal, architectural blueprints, material specs, 3D renderings, and a desert tone finish. By law, the HOA had 14 days to approve or deny. If not, the project auto-approved. I waited. Day 15. No response. Time to build. I rented an excavator and started digging. An hour in, a luxury SUV screeched to a halt. Karen. She marched across my yard, face blazing. "You can't build this wall. Stop or I'll call the police." I shut off the machine, clipboard in hand. "I submitted this application 15 days ago. No response." "That means automatic approval per bylaw 7.3. I handed her a copy, stamped and signed for by her. "Want to see the mail receipt too?" Her face darkened. "This is a loophole." "No, Karen, it's your rulebook." She stormed off, fuming. I climbed back into the cab and started the engine. Over the next week, I built the wall myself, block by block. Neighbors stopped to ask. Turns out I wasn't alone. Others had suffered too. Unapproved bird feeders, non-compliant flowers, ridiculous fines. But I was the first to fight back. Karen retaliated hard. A violation notice on my door said my materials were improperly stored. She threatened $50 a day fines, but I knew the rule. Active construction sites had a 7-day grace period. I rented a storage pod, tucked it neatly 17 feet from the curb, 1 foot more than required, and waited. Karen showed up the next morning, clearly hunting for violations. She found nothing. Her face priceless. She escalated again, reporting me to the county inspector for illegal construction. Bad move. I'd filed all permits before breaking ground. The inspector came, reviewed my documents, inspected the wall, and said, "This is some of the best residential masonry I've seen in years." But it got better. During the inspection, I mentioned how the HOA had chopped my hedges with no permit. He raised an eyebrow. That fountain Karen had installed at the entrance? We've been told for months the permits are in process. Never seen one. I checked county records. The permits? Never filed. Karen pushed it through using $30,000 in HOA funds. I reported it. Within days, the county slapped a stop work order and a $5,000 fine on the HOA, and I wasn't done yet. Karen thought the battle was over when she sent the county inspector. What she didn't realize was she had just poured gasoline on the fire. While she tried to take down my wall, I started taking down her empire. I dug through the HOA bylaws like a forensic accountant on a mission. I contacted former board members. I reviewed old budgets, faded minutes, missing receipts. And then, I struck gold. Mrs. Chun, sweet quiet Mrs. Chun, lived 3 doors down. Former HOA treasurer. Ousted 2 years ago. We sat in her rose garden sipping tea as she dropped the bomb. The numbers never added up, she said. Karen's brother-in-law's landscaping company, double the standard rate. When I asked for invoices, I was told they were confidential. That's not how HOA finances work. Game on. I compiled everything. A full 15-page dossier listing Karen's abuses, rule violations, misused funds, secret deals, fake notices, unlawful fines. Every claim backed with receipts, bylaws, and dates. My engineer's brain turned this into a war machine of facts. When my wall was finally done, it stood tall, 6 feet of clean cinder block strength, painted desert tan. HOA approved planters at each corner. Even Karen couldn't say a word. It was without a doubt perfectly legal. And the timing was perfect too. Because the annual HOA meeting was coming. The same meeting where board elections and budget approvals were held. This time, it wasn't going to be business as usual. I arrived early with boxes of envelopes, 1 for each homeowner. Inside, my full report. Titled in bold on the cover, "Is this the leadership Sunnyside Estates deserves?" When Karen walked in 15 minutes late, the room was buzzing. 100 residents filled the chairs, 10 times the usual attendance. Every single person flipping through the report she never saw coming. She tried to smile. It didn't land. She started the meeting, barely managing to approve the previous minutes. That's when Mrs. Chun stood. Her voice was calm but sharp as a blade. I move for an immediate vote of no confidence in President Wilkins, due to the violations and financial discrepancies outlined in the distributed report. The room didn't hesitate. A dozen voices echoed, seconded. Karen turned white. "This is out of order," she snapped. "These are lies, slander from a homeowner who built an illegal wall." Mrs. Chun, ever cool, replied, "Article 4. Section 9 of the bylaws states a motion of no confidence takes precedence if seconded by 10% of present members. We have that. Let's vote." It wasn't even close. 92 out of 97 homeowners voted to remove Karen as president. Only Karen, her neighbor, and 3 abstentions stood in her defense. She stood frozen, clutching her gavel like it could save her. Her power evaporated in front of the very people she had terrorized for years. "You can't do this," she whispered, but her mic had been turned off. The vice president, Mr. David Thompson, took the stage, calm, fair, respected. "As acting president, I hereby form an audit committee to review the last 3 years of finances. All current violation notices are suspended pending investigation. Double quotes boom. I gathered my things quietly. No interest in being president. No plans to run. I just wanted my peace. But just as I stepped outside into the cool evening, I heard footsteps behind me. It was her. Karen, red-faced, hair out of place for the first time ever. "You planned this. All of it," she hissed. "You engineered this whole thing just to humiliate me." I sighed, suddenly feeling no rage, just pity. "No, Karen, you engineered this. I just followed the rules, your rules." I gestured toward my wall, completely up to code. She trembled, her voice low and poisonous. "This isn't over. Nobody makes a fool of me." And that's when it happened. Mrs. Chun appeared from the shadows, flanked by David Thompson and another board member. Her voice was a hammer. "Karen, would you like to explain why $20,000 was transferred to your personal account last month? Or why your brother-in-law was paid double the market rate for the past 3 years?" Karen's face collapsed. All fire vanished. No words, no denial. Just a pale, gasping silence. For the first time ever, Karen Wilkins had nothing to say. Conclusion. I walked home slowly that night. A quiet smile on my face. No celebration. No gloating. Just peace. The wall stood tall behind me, solid and legal, a monument to how far malicious compliance can go when used with intelligence and patience. And maybe, just maybe, in the spring, I'll plant some vines.